A few weeks ago, I was reading through a Facebook group here in Cowboy County. 44,000 members, local, mostly women. And a voter was explaining who she was voting for and why. She named her candidate, named the issue. And then she said the only thing she had seen from his opponent was a few yard signs. 9 people liked her comment. And I've been running that through my mind ever since. That one comment in that one group, in that one county, says more about what went wrong in the 2026 Georgia primary season than most postmortems that I've read. My name's Chad Reed, and I'm not a political strategist. I don't have decades of campaign work behind me. What I do have is 20 years of coaching athletes through high-pressure performance. More than 3,000 videos produced for small business owners who needed to show up credibly on camera. And a long habit of watching how messages land or don't when the stakes are real. So when I watched this primary cycle, I wasn't watching like a consultant. I was watching like someone who spent 2 decades thinking about how communication works when the pressure's on. Race after race, same thing. The candidates that I believed in lost to opponents with less of both ideas and character. Not because they didn't outwork anyone, because they were running 2008 campaigns in a 2026 world. And if you're a conservative candidate, a staffer, or someone thinking about running, this is for you. Think about what a 2008 campaign actually looked like. You'd file, order yard signs, knock on doors, send mailers. You showed up at forums and chamber breakfasts, and even county GOP meetings. Then in the final stretch, local radio, maybe a cable spot if your budget allowed. Then you wait. And that worked because the voter it was built for actually existed. Because people actually watched local news. They opened their mail. They caught a candidate's name on a sign during their morning commute. You could buy into almost every channel that reached them. And that voter still exists. There are just fewer of them every single year. And that's not enough to win anymore. And our next to your name used to carry most of the weight. And in 2026, that's not a turnout strategy. So here's what the numbers actually say. Commercial advertisers put 78% of their media budgets into digital in 2024. These are people whose entire job is knowing where attention lives. They have no political reason to be online. They go where the eyeballs go. Political campaigns average 36%, and every other industry spent 16 years following voter attention to where it went. Most campaigns kept running the same playbook. Among Americans under 30, 46% get their political news primarily from social media, 10% from TV. The 30 to 49 group, like the voters who actually decide most local races, split roughly equal thirds across TV, social, and news websites. No single channel reaches them. No ad buy closes that gap. And the candidate running on yard signs and mailers is fighting with a weapon built for a different war. Now, let's go back to that Facebook comment. That opponent had yard signs. He had a website. He was knocking on doors. And by every traditional measure, he was running a campaign. Those 9 voters never saw him, though. Not because he wasn't working, because he wasn't where they were looking. And we had 3 serious conservative candidates in major statewide races this cycle: lieutenant governor, state school superintendent, and U.S. Senate. Real ideas, real qualifications. And by primary day, almost no one outside their core circles knew it. They had started building visibility when the campaign started. By then, the window was already almost all the way closed. The campaign doesn't start when you file. It starts when voters first hear your name. And if that's paperwork day, you're already a year behind, sometimes 2. And one analysis of advocacy organizations found that right-leaning groups cut their digital spending by only 3% during off years between 2020 and 2025. Left-leaning organizations cut theirs by 75%. The right kept showing up between elections, but that was advocacy organizations, not campaigns. Most campaigns treated communication as a 60-day line item, not infrastructure. No ad buy in the final 6 weeks closes a 2-year gap. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. The opponents who beat better candidates this cycle didn't always have better ideas. Some of them didn't have better character. What they had was a feel for where attention lived and the discipline to show up there over and over. And that should really bother us, because if visibility becomes the primary filter for who survives a primary, and you know what, it's kind of moving that direction, we start selecting for one trait above everything else: the ability to dominate attention, not the ability to actually govern. And it's a structural problem, and that's fixable, but only by candidates who stop treating communication like a last-minute scramble and start running it like a simple system. And one that works all year, not just in the final push. Field builds contact. Content builds trust. And this channel is about that second part. So that's what we're going to get into here on this channel. I help serious conservative candidates and leaders show up on camera and online like they deserve to win. Specific frameworks, repeatable systems, and language that actually works with voters who aren't already convinced. And to be straight with you, I'm still early on the political side of this work. The 20 years coaching under pressure and the 3,000 plus business videos are real. Running campaign media at scale is newer ground. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. And I think you'll get more out of this channel because I won't. Subscribe if you want to follow along. And if you want a weekly breakdown of what's working in conservative campaign communication right now, the campaign media brief goes out every week on Substack. The link is in the description.